Hello everyone, and in this video I'm actually going to be showing you how to install any Linux distro that you want to be using for these for basically browsing the deep web, and how to configure it with Tor. So you guys might be asking, what about Tails OS and Cubes OS? Well, those are security based operating systems, but maybe you want to install a Linux distro of your choice, maybe that one you enjoy using, or maybe you're just curious about Linux and this could be a starting point for you to actually use Linux for more than just browsing the deep web. So let's basically have a look at a list of some Linux distros. So basically, for beginners or for those of you who don't know what a Linux distro is, a Linux distro is basically a Linux distribution. Now, Linux is open source, that means it's free. However, we do have other variations like Red Hat Linux, which require subscriptions because they are maintained and provide basically they provide support whenever you need it. Now, when it comes to Linux distributions, it's basically like different versions of Linux themed and styled in their own way. So for example, we can have a look at Elementary OS, which is one of very visual Linux distros. Basically, it's going to just replace Windows and macOS in terms of the user interface. It is Linux after all, and it's a really good looking operating system. So for those of you who are keen on using Elementary OS because of how it looks, it's basically one of the best, if not the best distros right now in terms of user interface and how good it looks, because you can see it really good looking windows and the taskbar right there. You can basically pay what you want, or you can just enter a custom amount, hit $0 and just download it for free. As I said, it's all free, and there's some testimonials here. But for this video, and what I recommend for you, is to use Ubuntu. And the reason I'm saying Ubuntu is because, first of all, it's the best Linux distro in terms of stability and solidity. So let me just open Ubuntu. I know most of you have already heard of Ubuntu. Ubuntu is basically the leading operating system for PCs, and it's basically running even on phones. Basically it controls the market share for Linux on laptops. Of course, Linux is not very big on desktops. But that's basically it. Now, if you're interested in looking at other distros, you could go to a site called distrowatch.com, which is basically a site that will give you information about any distro that you want. So you can search for a distribution, you can select one. As you can see, there are so many right here. You can just basically choose anything that you want. For this tutorial, you can use any. You can use Ubuntu, you can use Elementary OS, you can use Debian, you can use Fedora, whatever suits you well. So this site basically has news on the latest versions of distros that are released. So you have right here, you have package hit rating. These are basically the distros that are the most downloaded. You have Linux Mint, Debian, Manjaro, Ubuntu, or people actually call this Manjaro. I would actually recommend this for you, but the installation is, if you're not used to using the different types of Linux distros, I would not recommend it, because it's going to be slightly different when it comes to installation. Otherwise, overall a very good operating system. But as I said, for this video, we're basically going to be looking at Ubuntu. So let's just go to the Ubuntu site right here. It's ubuntu.com, and you want to go into desktop. Just hit desktop, and you want to just say download Ubuntu, and it's going to give you the versions. Right now the latest version is 17.04. It's not the most stable. The most stable right now is 16.04.2, which I would recommend for you, but there's no real big difference between these two. So you can basically just download the 17.04 as of this recording, and again, you don't need to pay anything. Or if you want to support the project. I'm just gonna make it 0, and once that's done, you can continue the download. And once you reach here, the installation guide, I'll basically show you how to do it. So just hit download now, and it should start downloading the ISO file. So there we are, and that's basically it. If you're looking for a 32-bit ISO, I believe right now the only 32-bit ISO is for 16.04.2. So let's just download that, and let me show you that you can actually select, I think, a 32-bit operating system. Let's hit continue. Or if it does not give you the 32-bit ISO, you can basically just go into downloads and go into Ubuntu desktop. Alright, and you can basically see if, you can basically go to alternative downloads, and you can download, go down here, and basically here you have the Ubuntu 32-bit and the Ubuntu 16 32-bit and 14 32-bit. So whatever your system architecture is, they've got you covered. So once you've downloaded the ISO, I already have it downloaded. We have to download the universal USB installer. That's for those of you who want to dual boot Ubuntu, or maybe just want to try it out and see how it works. So you can just basically go to the first link here, universal USB installer. We used it in the previous videos. It's one of the best USB installers. So just scroll down to download universal USB installer, save the file. It's already downloaded, hopefully. My internet connection today is quite slow. I don't know why it's taking so much time. Alright, there we are. It's downloaded. Let it just run the setup. Alright, so now we can actually get started. So my Linux distro is right up here. It's the 64-bit version of 17.04 Ubuntu, and hit agree. And this basically will work for any distro that you choose to use. You can use Ubuntu, you can use Linux Mint, you can use Debian, you can use the Linux distros for kids, or you can basically select one from the other distros sorted in alphabetical order. There are a lot of Linux distros you can choose from. But for this video, we're going to be using Ubuntu, and I'm going to browse to where I stored my ISO, where I downloaded my ISO, which is on my desktop, and it's right here. I'm going to select that, and I'm going to open it. Once I've opened it, I basically select my flash drive. I think an 8GB flash drive would be enough to install bootable, to basically create the bootable flash drive. Just hit your flash drive and format it as FAT32. You then can provide a persistent file. This is basically if you just want to run Ubuntu off the flash drive and you don't want to install it. So this file will allow you, this is basically like reserved memory on the flash drive, which will be treated as actual storage, so you can actually store things on the USB drive as part of the operating system. We're not going to do anything like that now, and just hit create, and it should take a few minutes. And once it's done, turn off your computer, plug in your flash drive, turn on your computer, go into your BIOS and select boot from USB drive, and the installation will be the same as I will show you right now through the virtual machine. So let's use the virtual machine. We're going to be using VMware Workstation 12 player. Just open it up, and it should open up immediately. And we're going to create a new virtual machine, and we're going to use the installer disk ISO. This should be pretty familiar with you right now. Hopefully it is, if you have been following the other videos. So basically you have Ubuntu 17.04. That's the ISO file I downloaded. So basically it's going to detect Ubuntu because it's very it's a very reputable operating system. So let's hit next. And we want to personalize the Linux. So they've basically made it so much easier for you to do it. So I'm just going to use my name. Right there. My username is going to be the same thing. My password is just going to create a custom password. There we are. And you can basically leave it blank if you don't want a password. I'm going to hit next. You've entered an invalid username. A username, oh yes, sorry about that. The username has to be in lowercase. So I'm just going to use a lowercase there and hit next. Now again, we have to save the file somewhere. I'm going to save mine in my virtual OS folder. I'm going to hit OK. Ubuntu 64-bit, that's fine as a name. Hit next. Don't worry if it says anything here, just hit continue. Recommended size for Ubuntu 20GB. Again, you can increase it to how much you deem fit. Just hit next, and I'm going to store it as a single disk, as a single file. Alright, now we want to customize the hardware. So I'm going to open the customize hardware section, and again memory, I will just stick to 2GB of RAM. You want to look at processors, we basically select, I'm going to select 2 cores. You can select as many as you feel comfortable. Again, you should be already familiar with the settings you should apply here. Then all I'm going to do is hit close and finish. This will be pretty much the simplest thing you can ever do. So in the next video, we'll actually get to installing the operating system, so we can basically configure it for Tor browsing. So thank you for watching this video. Bye bye.